This is the Dope Black Dad podcast. My name is Marvin Harrison, and today is Father's Day. Now, for those of you who have never had a father, who have never met a father, or are a father, Father's Day is a celebration for men. And we, Dope Black Dads, are taking over the day officially, and it is now becoming Dope Black Dads Day. So we are all here to celebrate. Today, I've been joined by Uma Kankia, Marvin Critchlow, Donald Butcher, and Chris Becks. How are you guys?
All good. All good, man. How are you?
Yeah, all good.
What
Happy
took so
Father's
long
Day.
there was like a pause. What was the matter? Is it because the jokes we were making earlier?
I
Was
wanted
it too
to
close
think
to
of
the
a
bone?
nice word. I wanted to think of a nice word. I'm wavy. That's what I am.
I'm wavy.
But can we just clarify that for you it's nighttime, for us it's morning. So you're wavy on nighttime vibes. We are wavy on morning cereal vibes.
True.
If you like.
So today is Father's Day, and for those of you who don't know, Dope Black Dads was started on Father's Day in 2018. It was launched by a sad, lonely man in his room by creating a WhatsApp group with 23 of his friends. He's a very handsome man, very funny and charismatic, and he's a fantastic leader and a wonderful, inspirational character. But this man, from a very sad place, created this group. Since then, we've gone on to grow the group exponentially and also create Facebook groups. Also, we have a podcast, which is now listened to a few thousand people every week. We have a groups in the US and South Africa. We're probably going to be launching in Australia because one of our finest members is in Australia, and that's might as well do it. Why not? We are launching in the Caribbean soon also. And for us, you know, we are the five guys behind what we do, Dope Black Dads. Does everyone just want to do a quick introduction? Who the fuck are you and what do you want?
Wow.
What do you want on my podcast? How can I help? Let's see, look, I'm megalomaniac already. It's my podcast now. All right.
Yeah, clearly. Right, I'll go first. Right, my name is Umar Kankia. I am a solicitor by trade. I am married to my beautiful wife, Comfort. We've been married for 5.5 years. I've got 2 children, Talia, who is 4.5, going to be 5 in August, and Xavier, who is 2.
Cool. Who's next?
Cool. Chris Becks Boachi, if you want to do the 400. And I am a Dope Black Dad from the east side of London, Hackney, now living in Australia, mate, as my daughter has an Australian mother. And her name, my daughter, is Alia. She's 2 years old, and I'm just happy to be here. Also happy the Premiership is back. I really think we could win it this year.
Oh my God.
No one cares about football. Arsenal lost 3-0. No one cares, bro.
Just wanted to share my interest.
They got hammered by their own player.
All right.
I'll go next. I'm Donald Butcher. I'm based in Hertfordshire, northwest London guy. What's that?
Just clearing my throat. I had nothing to say about your Hertfordshire roots. I had nothing to say. Do you want to talk about the sex work that goes on in your Hertfordshire farm, or are we going to do that in another episode?
Right, so these guys.
No, wait, because I want to make sure that's clear because this is actually a parenting podcast, so we have to be mindful that we don't think that's what we're doing. Basically, Donald, when he jumps on our morning calls when we speak every day at 9:45, he sometimes doesn't have any top on, and so we have made him the naked farmer in our group, and we've now created a rumor.
Whole persona for me.
We've just created a slight rumor that maybe he has a shed in the back, which is what sex parties happen at. That's what we've created a rumor. Why he's comfortable naked every morning in front of us. Anyway, sorry, continue. Sorry.
I have 5 kids, 4 of which are here with us. The other one is in heaven. And they are Monique, Emmanuel, Gabriel, Malachi, and yeah,
I thought you forgot one of your children's names. I was counting when you was like, yeah, that's it. That's all of them.
Yeah.
I can't remember the other's name, the little one.
So, but yeah, and I don't support Liverpool. I'm a Chelsea supporter, a black Chelsea supporter. That there's no problem with that, by the way.
Judging you already. Do we all support different teams? I feel like Umar supports Man United or something.
I am a Man United fan.
Yes,
I'm a Man
that's so
United fan as
atypical,
well.
bro. Oh my gosh. Nigerian lawyer supports Man United. Surprise. No way, get out.
I'll go next to my introduction. So my name is Marvin Critchlow. I'm from Southeast London, Lewisham. I'm a project manager by trade, and I'm a father of one. I've got a 10-year-old son named Cairo because, you know, black people built the pyramids, but I'm sure we'll talk about that another time. But yeah, and I'm a proud Manchester United supporter. But allow me, I'm coming from the days of Dwight York and Andy Cole. That's where
That's
I'm
not
really
even early
coming.
enough, bro. You're a grown ass man, bro. You should be coming from earlier than that, bro. Gary Pallister and that, bro. No more white side.
I'm coming from that vibe.
Bro, don't lie, bro. They were shit. Nigerians didn't support Man United then. Lies. If anyone doesn't know, I think I said this. My name is Marvin Harrison. I have two children, 2 and 4. My wife is the founder of Dope Black Mums. She's so amazing. I just want to say that I love her, and she's definitely not watching right now. I'm joking. And I am the founder of Dope Black Dads. So, guys, first and foremost, welcome. Thank you all for joining me this wonderful morning to share love and warmth with our community. I actually want to kick off with a really important sentiment, actually, because 2 years ago when I did launch or found or started Dope Black Dads from a bit of a terrible place, really. I never was formally diagnosed, but I could kind of look back and potentially say I was in depression, because I just remember not being happy for a very long time, really struggling to connect with my daughter, and really just trying to find any form of like comfort as possible. And the only thing that actually worked in that whole of that 6 months was by creating this group. So it obviously means a lot to me. But within that, there's definitely a massive shout out. Like, I've been awoken to the impact of women living in a patriarchy. And I know look, Father's Day is the shittest holiday in the world. No one really celebrates it. And it's kind of an afterthought. But I also think, like, I can still create space for a woman at this time, and I want to create space for my wife. And she's done so much in terms of supporting me specifically while I was going through that time, but also me and us in terms of creating this and holding down the fort and still doing Dope Black Mums, but also, you know, making space for me to do what's needed. And so my dopeness is really off the back of her dopeness. And I just wanted to say how much I really appreciate and value her. So I want to open up on a sober note, because I think for me, it's particularly very important and poignant at this time. Just for the room, is there worth us sort of going into sort of how you would like to celebrate Father's Day? Are you going to celebrate Father's Day? How does that look like for you today?
Yeah, I think in my household, because my wife was asking me this the other day, actually, she was like, you know, what do you want to do? And I think family are all, because there's a few dads within our extended family, like on her side, and we've decided we're just going to get together because there's a birthday as well that we're celebrating. So she's like, oh, do you want to do something, or, you know, we're going to have like a picnic in a park? And I was like, you know what, let's do the picnic in the park, because for us, you know, our nieces, we haven't had much contact with them, obviously, because of COVID-19. So I was just like, it's great. Let's get together. Let's have a nice socially distant picnic in a nice park somewhere, and just celebrate and enjoy. And I'm cool to, you know, just chill out with my family and catch jokes and you know, catch up with people who haven't really seen properly in person for the last 3 months. So that's what Father's Day looks like for us this year.
I feel like that I get stitched up for Father's Day every year because it's my wife's birthday, like 2 days afterwards. So
wow.
it's kind of like I can have a nice breakfast in bed, and then immediately afterwards, it's like I'm going back to bed because I'm going to start.
Like, here's the limelight. Nah, just joking.
Yeah.
Typical black woman, Marvin Critchlow says.
Let's hope there's visuals. We need evidence.
For me, I think what I like about Father's Day is just getting up in the morning and being swarmed by the kids like every morning. You know, I think just every day for me is Father's Day, because I think I take that father's role seriously, and I think it's more for me. There is always an element of sadness because I didn't have my father around. So I've always thought about how would I have celebrated Father's Day differently. what I do, you know, now. But for me, I guess it's probably just going to be breakfast in bed, and I don't think there's much thought to anything really. And
Is that all we can really ask for? Is that us underserving ourselves, or is that really just what happens on Mother's Day? Like, it's not actually possible to be completely committed to on that day because you do have kids. Like, I sometimes feel like even for my wife's birthday, it means well that, you know, we do something, but it ends up being a top and tail. Like, you have a really good morning and then life goes on, and then you have a really good evening because you can't sacrifice a whole day. So like before, when it was just us two, it used to be romantic all day, boy. I spent the whole day kissing her foot, and then now it's just like, hey babe, you're right, and then give her something, do a cake, and then it's just like, all right, kids are running around, we got to do, you know, you just get lost in it.
It's hard though, isn't it? It's hard because when you've got kids, it's kind of normality has to resume at a certain stage, right? It's like, and I think it was a very sobering moment for me when our daughter died. She was miscarried. When she died, it was kind of, okay, this has happened. We've got to go back to normality. It's almost kind of like, okay, and it's the same, and it's the same with Father's Day. If on that level you can't have, you can have the time to grieve, but it's cut short because you have to go back to a certain sense of normality, right, as quicker than possible. So for Father's Day, I almost think, well, I don't know, you just go back to it. You just do what you need to do on a daily basis to keep him alive. And then once you have that clearing in the morning or in the evening, then you can you allow yourself to kind of celebrate. And I think we are underserving ourselves. I think we all need a babysitter on tap. I think that's what it is, where you can drop the kids off in the morning.
In certain countries, you can have housemaids that are affordable and easy, and they have little rooms. Lord Jesus, they have rooms in the house that you can adopt. So you know, if you want to move to a Far East Asian country, you can probably, it's normal. Like in Singapore, people just have maids. It's like normal, and they're affordable. And I was like, this is the life. This is what happens when employment laws aren't in place, basically. Which basically
and equality.
Yeah. It'll be England in 15 years. It'll be like all of us will be nannies and housemaids in our own homes, like for our people. Chris, how are you?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. I'm definitely in a somber place about Father's Day because obviously my situation is that I am currently separated from my wife, and the whole reason of moving here was to stay local, proximity to my daughter above reconciling or anything else. And so I guess I'm in a place where not living with them has me much more appreciative of the time I do have with my daughter, which thankfully is about 2 to 3 times a week at the moment. So I guess I definitely feel like I'm not in a space to be celebrated because it's just too early in a stage in her life. So, she's not able to give me appreciation, but, I feel the love from my daughter, of course, at 2 years old. And equally with, a bit of friction between myself and my wife, I don't expect much from her either. But, I'm fortunate that I have been, shown a lot of support during this time. And also, I actually got sent some chocolate from the UK. So that was pretty nice. It arrived early. So yeah, I guess.
You sent you chocolate, bro. We didn't send you chocolate, bro. You just skated over that mad quick, bro. Like to say it's like it was us, but it weren't us. Was it us? I don't remember we approving that.
No, one of my friends sent it just kind of in appreciation of my situation and knowing what I'm doing with Dope Black Dads, and also knowing that it was unlikely I was going to be celebrating.
I feel bad. I don't know. Donald,
we should have claimed that.
I know. Donald, you're our in-house delivery guy. Can we get it to Australia in 2 days? Can we get it there?
2 days? Ooh, I don't know. Expensive. It's
Hermes said
worth the
no.
money.
It probably costs more to send it than it would be to actually buy the thing.
Yeah.
That's where we're at.
We'll buy it and take a picture of it and eat the chocolates on your behalf. That's what we'll do.
There you go. We can have a chocolate eating Zoom party.
Marvin, how are you, bro? Sorry.
I'm well, brother. I think I was just reflecting on how we were speaking about Father's Day, and especially what you and Donald said. And I think it kind of reminded me of, when it's happy birthday moment where the cake's being brought over to you, and it's that awkward moment, you're smiling, you kind of got that cheesy grin, you're hoping that the song ends soon, and it's just, there's an awkward moment. I think maybe there's something about us as men not really being able to celebrate Father's Day, because this is probably the only day that we get to celebrate. We're not used to being pampered or spoiled.
Yeah.
So we're not as receptive to it, if that makes sense.
What did Father's Day mean to you guys growing up? Because for me, it was always a time to celebrate my mother, which for me as a child made sense. But I find it problematic when mothers actually celebrate themselves on Father's Day. But if as a child wants to get you a card, then it's fine because they're children and they can do what they want. But what did Father's Day look like growing up for you guys?
Yeah, my mum used to own that, even to today. On Father's Day, she always sends me a reminder that I have been your mother and father. And
Wow.
she would say Happy Father's Day to me,
Wow.
celebrating herself. So it's to me, it was always celebrate mum, like you buy her. And I remember at the very first Father's Day, or when I was aware of Father's Day, I remember I bought her toothpaste.
You brought her toothpaste?
Yeah, I packaged.
Are you trying to tell your mum something? What?
No, I just. It was the only thing at that age. I was probably about 5, and I'm very clearly remembering that all my friends said, "Oh, it's Father's Day," and I remember thinking, "Oh, well, what do I do?" So I had, I think it was like £3 or something, and I went and I bought her. The only thing I could afford was toothpaste, so I bought her a little tub of Colgate. I remember it so clearly, and I wrapped it up, and it said Happy Father's Day on it.
I wish you were my son.
Yeah.
Chris, Marvin, Umar. Chris and Umar, I know for sure your parents are in your dads are in your life. Marvin, what about you?
Yeah, my dad's in my life. I just remember growing up in primary school. You have them kind of like wet play sessions when it's raining outside, and it always seemed like around Father's Day they'd bring out all the trinkets and all the kind of the DIY equipment, and then they'll get you to make something for Father's Day for your father. So I just remember like pasta and shapes, and when you cut the potato and you can make a stamp and stuff like that. And I just remember making a card for Father's Day. I always felt like with my father, and probably similar to me now, I didn't know what to get him. It was always like, what do you buy someone that has everything? I feel like men sometimes.
Were you the everything? Was that what it was?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so sweet.
And I think it's just hard because even I find for myself, like when you want something, you just buy it. You don't necessarily wait. If you need something, you go and kind of tick that box. So yeah, for Father's Day for me growing up, it was either making a card for my dad, or maybe my mum kind of giving me £5 and telling me to go buy something in the shop, and me just struggling, not knowing what to buy. If I'm honest.
See those wet play sessions? Is that you as a kid or an adult? What does that mean?
Not on this podcast, but next episode.
Tell me more about these wet play sessions that happens. Do you need gloves or do you need waterproof equipment?
That's after dark section.
To get dressed up. Well, I mean, what happens? This is a Donald Butcher party. Yes, let's go. Yes, Marvin. Let's go. So I think for me growing up, like my dad obviously being from Nigerian background and being Muslim as well, like didn't really celebrate that kind of stuff. So I'd get him a card occasion, but he wasn't really fussed about that. Same with Mother's Day; it just wasn't something that was kind of celebrated much. I think since I've had kids, it's changed a bit. So like my kids like to send, because my wife's dad, he passed away sadly before I'd even had a chance to meet him. So they will send their granddad a Father's Day card, or Happy Father's Day for granddad and stuff. But yeah, growing up, it wasn't really a thing. We didn't really do celebrations. So I remember the first party I had was actually on my 18th birthday. That was the first proper party I even had. So that just goes to show where celebrations ranked in my house. But yeah, it's very different for me now. With my wife, she definitely likes a celebration. So all the big occasions, she pulls out the stops, which is great.
It's powerful. So then, what do we actually get for Father's Day? I remember the reason why I did start the group was my wife got me a whole bunch of presents. She brought it to me breakfast in bed. My son was jumping all over me. He was like really excited. but I didn't feel like a great father. I think at the time I was extremely working way too hard. I wasn't really connected. I don't know what the hell I was angry about. I was angry about something, and I just wasn't. I didn't feel connected to the joy of what was happening, and it felt like they probably really meant it, but it felt like this cannot be for me because I don't think I'm even remotely getting this right. And I feel like what you actually get, like, how do you celebrate it? What is it? Is it even worthy of celebration? Should these holidays be binned?
That's what I wanted to say. I think it's a strange one also for me because so my dad was kind of in and out, not consistently around, and by way of circumstance, I ended up moving in with him when I was 17. So that was really the only time I started to get to know my dad, and it was off my own back. So it was still fractious, you know, as a relationship for a while. But even like when things got to a better place and well are in a better place now, it was still awkward to celebrate him to an extent. And I think there's something that comes with, maybe it's male privilege, maybe like I wanted to say the idea that, you know, day to day we are, you know, we do have an advantage in some way. We don't maybe go through the same process physically, at least, as a mother does, and maybe there's that unconscious comparison that we have that kind of suppresses our desire of to be celebrated in the first place for our role.
There is a thing at the moment, just like, so I mentioned it earlier, this idea of mothers celebrating Father's Day. It feels extremely intrusive, but then looking at the current climate where we are, I can feel the sense of men haven't created space for women for so long, and we've been so bad at things like male parenting that it almost feels excusable in a weird way. Like, I find myself, like, on one hand being like, no, this is ring fencing. This is the only thing we actually celebrate as men that's specifically for us around the male parenting experience. And it's always celebrated extremely badly because most people who either have a disconnect with their father or men just like, oh, I didn't care. And like, you just buy them the most basic of essentials and a card. And it's like, you know, you really write anything in it that's of personal meaning. It's like, dear dad, whatever the card says, lots of love, children. You know, that's not, you know, and I'm not saying that we should, you know, throw a carnival, but it feels like it's a bit of an undersell anyway. So the idea that we have to share it with mothers who aren't with their partners or the dads weren't around feels just a little bit inauthentic. We could never ever take that space from a woman. We would never have Mother's Day with like 800 men coming together and being like, yeah, but there's no mother in our lives, so we're celebrating too. What is that?
I mean, I'd say for me, I think when you touched on it earlier, when you mentioned that you would celebrate your mother on Father's Day, I think it's one thing if the child does it. So if the child's of an age where they acknowledge their mother and they'd want to do it, then I think, you know, that's perfectly understandable and she deserves that honor. But if, as you said, if it's intrusive where you feel like the mother's just celebrating herself, then I think that's when it can be a little cringeworthy. And there is a day for that. That's Mother's Day, and so I think it can definitely be intrusive.
What that talk, Marvin? It's Mother's Day. You had your day already this year.
Yeah, and it's earlier in the year as well, so that, yeah, you know, that's been done. Yeah.
Okay.
I think if you think about it, it's like on Father's Day, you wouldn't get a father that says we must celebrate Father's Day. There isn't that demand from fathers either, you know, that kind of say we have to celebrate it like this or we have to do something. It's more, you know, as guys, I think we're more relaxed. Like Marvin said earlier on, you can, if you wanted something, you go and buy it. Whereas I think with mothers and with women, it's more a case of they don't have the time to celebrate themselves because they're always doing something. So Mother's Day feels like that one time in a year, along with their birthday and Christmas, that one time in a year, that time in a year where they need to be celebrated. They need to kind of have a break, and a lot of mothers use that as, you know, that time when they can just do nothing all day. You know, they can be afforded to not cook you any dinner, leave the washing up. I'm not scarred by it at all, by washing up or not having any dinner cooked for me. But yeah, the leave and you end up having to do it yourself and looking after the kids, and it's bloody hard.
Yeah. It's funny because I always think I'm an incredible father until my wife goes away. And I'm like, holy tish. My wife's so I've been working from an office for the last maybe 6 weeks. And my wife's doing every day by herself until I come home. And then I think there was one day where I was like, no, babe, I'll stay home. I'll stay home and I'll try and work it out away from home. Not only did I get nothing done, I was like, holy shit, these kids have got stronger, faster, more aggressive, more needs, more fighting, more cry. I was like, this is a nightmare. Like, how do I need to shut this down? And immediately my thing is like to control the situation. Like, you just be like, everyone, stop it. Everyone, come here, everyone, you stand here. Like, stop. Like, I turned into that guy. I turned into this like militant, like Terminator figure, where it's just like, stop having all types of fun and be quiet because you're driving me up the wall. But she manages this every day. She's an absolute superhero. And so like I feel like one of the things that I almost want to do is like I need to improve my compassion for and patience for these things, because that's them having fun. They are joyously screaming, and like even when they're crying, it's like because they were like doing something they were really enjoying and then slipped down, and it's like, yeah, but it's not crying. It's like I was having fun and I hurt myself crying, and I feel like I don't want to interrupt that with my like order. It doesn't feel appropriate.
And it's like what you said, Marv, is that my wife went away to a wedding like for 3 days in Austria, and boy, she came back and like every night I was just I was done.
Cuddle her differently, innit?
I said to her, when she used to say to me, I haven't even had time to go to have a shower today. I really felt that after those 3 days, I was like, boy, I don't know how you do it. And it just goes from one to the other, because they have, and if you have multiple kids, they all have different needs at different times. So you could be tending to one, and by the time you finish that, someone else kicks off. So I get it from a mother's perspective, because now I look at my mum differently, because she had 3 boys, 3 boisterous boys. So it wasn't, it's by herself. And when she celebrates Father's Day, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, you're probably owed Mother's Father's Day and Carer's Day and Nanny Day, whatever day you want, you can have it.
Yeah, I think it's a real thing, man. I feel like as I'm sitting here, I kind of feel like, and I don't want to enroll you if you're not there, but I really want to dedicate Father's Day to being like a better dad. Like, let's just create a better dad project, because yes, we're Father's Day and we are Dope Black Dads. We're more active than historically any generation has. We are more present. We are more helpful. We're more kind. All those things are there, but there's still a massive leap between what mothers are doing and what we're doing. And it's a challenge just to up the levels a little bit, and just like, how can we do more frontline things? How can we intentionally make sure we take our children away from the mothers on our own and spend more time on our own? Because it's actually for us. It's for us to have that connection. Like, I don't want to be old and none of my kids visit me because they don't remember a time when I was around. I want them to be like, hey, daddy, and come see me. You know, like your mom's desperate to see you for like half an hour on one Sunday a week. And you're like, I don't want to be that guy. I want my kids to be like in and out of my house, ringing me, like asking me stupid questions and like all of that stuff. I want it to be fully integrated. I want to almost have friends when I'm older, like adult friends that I created. And I feel like I want to create some sort of better dad project for Father's Day, and we can just celebrate it, and we all just encourage people to like commit to 5 new norms for dads. I'm inventing a campaign right now on this podcast, and it's probably now going to happen. I feel like we should commit to it, and us 5 should start, and then we should invite all of our dads in all of our spaces and all the other dads groups to do the same, because, you know, yes, we are being celebrated, but I think it's also a time to take a bit of ownership, because we've done enough as men to mothers, and I think we can forego a day for them in a powerful way, not just rescinding power around Father's Day for mothers. It's about what can we do as dads for ourselves, but also improves the lives of mothers.
Yeah, I'm enrolled in that. What are you talking about? 1 day a week?
No, I'm just saying we just do it on Sunday. We announce a new way of being from Sunday. We're saying the Better Dad Project is, and we'll create 5 values, which we're going to invent after this call, as to what that is. And we could actually even do it right now, but I think it's something about, I did the insights panel, and one of the asks were about women spend, I think, maybe between 1 and 3 hours a day more. No, if you spend an extra hour a day instead of mothers or women in the home, it will readdress the balance. So they were asking men to do an extra hour in the home every day. And you can spread that over morning and night or whatever, but just 1 extra hour. And I think we can come up with that can be one of them. Like, increase your home productivity by an hour every day, and making sure you're taking clear charge of certain things, and volunteering before you're asked. I think that's a nice one. What else could we do in our quest for 5 new beginnings?
I think what's important as well is to have like a set standard to say you may not achieve perfection, but when you've arrived at the point where you can call yourself a good father. I think many men are like self-deprecating, and it could be because of stigma in the media, it could be because of their own trauma. But I think sometimes we find it hard to acknowledge that, yeah, I am actually doing a good job. And shameless plug, but I think that's why Dope Black Dads is a great network, because that's what we do every day essentially, and that's what we're here for. But yeah, I think defining the standard, as you mentioned with those 5 points, where you can look and reflect and say, actually, I didn't realize I was doing it, but I'm here, I've arrived. I may not be the end product that I want to be, but I'm somewhere on that journey, and I'm proud.
Yeah, I think that's powerful, man. I love that. And anyone else got anything else we can add?
Yeah, I would say being proactive when raising discussions about your child's development. I think in the past I've been quite reactive, and not that I ever refused to engage or anything like that, but I guess in reflection, it makes me understand just how much is circulating, in the minds of mothers with regard to their child's development, apart from the day-to-day stuff that has to be done. So yeah, I guess in terms of like removing some of that weight, it would be useful to be a bit more proactive and share that mental burden.
Nice. Any others? Technically, if we all get one each, then that's 5, and then we can save the world. No pressure.
I think just probably, showing more emotional intelligence around things. So I think it is easy. I think sometimes I find that I kind of put logic on things a bit too much, and sometimes, especially when you're dealing with kids, just take the logic out of it and just be a bit more, try and connect more on an emotional level. So like you were saying before, that example of they're playing, you're trying to do something, and then you kind of go, stern because you want to achieve something, but actually they're just there, they're having fun. They don't know any better because they're just chilling. So I think it's more about having more of that emotional awareness and kind of not necessarily trying to apply logic to things all the time, and actually remembering that you were in that position, way back in the day. You were there kind of running around doing silly things and, messing around with your siblings if you had siblings. And yeah, just kind of putting yourself in their shoes and, yeah, I suppose just having more of an emotional intelligence around that.
For me, it would be like just resetting the place for the next day. I think it sounds so simple, but to my wife, from what I've heard from most mothers, is they just sometimes don't have the time to kind of reset, but they like that to come down in the morning to a reset place so that they can start their day from fresh. And it's so simple, but yet so effective, because it just gives them a clear reminder that they don't have to worry about it. They can, relax in the evening. It buys them so much more time to do other things, whether it be relaxing in the evening, reading a book, whatever they want to do, so they don't have to take that focus. So for me, it will be taking the responsibility to reset the place and reset everything.
I missed the boat on that one for sure. Yeah. I like that one.
That's powerful, guys. I think we've clocked it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these together and I'm going to send it to Dope Black Mums, and they're going to verify and change the ones they want, because it's for them. There's no point us telling us what we think, but I think it's a good starting point. So we have done some work. We're not asking them to do all the lifting. Like, could you solve this problem for us that we created for you? It's like I think we can validate it. And for me, we start today, and I think we'll publish what we've discovered, and we'll publish what our commitments are going to be. We can make them personal for us, but also what Dope Black Dad's commitments are.
Can we create a vlog around it? It'd be cool.
I'm putting you in charge of it because you got the face for video, bruv. So we're gonna make it happen.
You're not gonna see just my face there. That's the problem.
Then forget it. Cancel the whole thing. Then. If we're not seeing the full package, I don't want anything to do with it. Guys, thank you so much for your time today. It really means a lot, and I feel like we've just started something new. Also, welcome formally onto the podcast. I'm really looking forward to breaking bread with you. For everybody else, this feed is now going to be just Dope Black Dads. And so if you're going to miss the mums and the women, please feel free to find them and Google them and search them. They will still be creating podcasts. But also, please don't leave us. Like, we need you too. Don't just stay here for Dope Black Women. We matter as well. Black dads matter as well. So yes, this will be a new feed. Please make sure you subscribe and rate wherever you see and view or hear your podcasts, because we're also on YouTube. Make sure you can email us at hello@dopeblackdads.com. Also, these wonderful human beings also have email. Marvin, have you got your email yet? Because I've sent you the login.
I was going to say I haven't received it yet.
Bro, can you please check your spam, bro? I've sent it to you 2 occasions, and you respond to all the other emails, so you must get that email. If you don't get it, please nudge me today, because I'm online. We're doing admin in the middle of my wrap up. And so I just want to thank you all for listening. Also, feel free to DM us at Dope Black Dads on any platform you like. Also, I really appreciate when people comment on how they feel about our podcast, because we get really good numbers, but then sometimes people I get like 2 or 3 comments. I want to hear what you think. I don't want to have to start yelling into my phone to try and make people respond. I just would like to hear what you think about the work we're doing. Guys, thank you. Any other last statements you want to make? No? Too late. Bye.